Okay, so I'm going to go over the PHP testing with Composer and Codeception. So I'm not going to go too far into installing Composer because it's pretty easy. You just download the exe file. Now make sure you're doing PHP 7.2 or greater for the path, and that's just asking your computer what version of PHP you're using with Composer. So like that's the only thing you should be doing in the setup check for Composer. Everything else should just be default. It doesn't matter, where it installs all that stuff. So next, once you have Composer set up, go to your terminal, whichever thing you use, whether it's Bash or command line, terminal, PowerShell, whatever, and you're going to go to your active root directory where all of the PHP files are set. So you see how I have C WAMP64 www/athleticize. That is this folder right here where I have all of my PHP files that I'm working on. So you're going to navigate to that directory and you're going to put in this command, composer require, and then don't forget the quotations, codeception/codeception, and then --dev. When that runs, that's how you're setting up your codeception environment. So you should, after that, have all of these different like vendor, these JSON files, all that stuff. Actually, no, the JSON files after you bootstrap. So that's the next step, is you're going to go in and you're going to put this command in there, vendor/bin/codecep, and then space bootstrap. What that's doing is that's building that environment. So when you go back to this, you will then see the composer.json, the codeception.yml, these random files that you're not familiar with. That's the Codeception building its environment. Now, you should also see this folder called tests. And within that folder, you should see acceptance, functional, and unit. Those are your three types of tests that Codeception runs. And what we're going to do is we're going to build an acceptance test. I think that's all we need to do for this assignment, but if you do need to do a functional or unit test, the steps are very similar. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go back into your shell here and you're going to, let's see, you're going to do that command right there, vendor/bin/codecept space generate :cest, which is a very weird thing. I don't know why it's that way. So this part, that's the generating the test, right? This is what type of test. So when you put acceptance, that's saying I'm generating an acceptance test. This next part is whatever the name you want the test to be. So I just put first for that one. And then don't forget when you're doing this path, I put the dot there, /, and then vendor bin codecept. I'm not sure what your terminal requires, but some of them do require that dot. So path, generating the test, type of test, name of test. And what that should do is it'll say right here, test was created in that directory. So when you go to acceptance, you should see it. That's the name, and that'll always add cest at the end. And it is a PHP file, right? So now that you have that made, you're going to go back into this test folder and you're going to open this acceptance.suite.yml in whatever text editor you're using. I'm just going to use VS Code because that was my default for some reason. When you go in here, make sure where it says PHP browser URL, you have to change this to your local host directory, whatever your folder is. So like I have localhost/athleticize because that's what WAMP is hosting on. So if I were to go to my local host, see how I have localhost/athleticize, and then I'm just doing index.php, that is the directory without the index part. You just want the directory in the VS Code, and that'll be that right there. So whatever folder you have for your local host, you want that to be there. Save this file. So after you save that, you're going to go back to that acceptance folder, and you're going to open that test in same text editor, whatever, VS Code. I'm going to open it here. It'll come up with this. This won't be there right away. This is what you have to add for the test. This is just some basic code that will run through your code and do whatever function this is. So like C, for instance, the C function is to find this string on our page. So if this string doesn't exist on our page, which it doesn't, this test will fail. If it does, the test will pass. So you save this file, and then you go back to your editor, and then you're going to run this command, .vendor/bin/codecept run -- steps, so it doesn't show the steps. You're going to run it, and I don't know if I even, there we go. So it's running that acceptance test, and it has a failure because this string does not exist on our page. So it does go through the steps there, I guess, but it comes up with the homepage text and all that stuff. And obviously I'm using an outdated version of our site because this is kind of my play around code right now. But say I were to change this to home because that is on our navigation bar. I save that. Now I'm going to run that same test. And it passed because home exists on our main page. And that is all you have to do for that test. Now there are other things that you can do. There's all sorts of examples on the Codeception website for tests you can run. I am just going to do this for the demo. I recommend that you just do this for the demo for the acceptance test because it's a very simple test. And that is it. That is all you have to do. Please let me know if there's any questions. Thank you.